Hey folks, welcome back to the Horde. So, I don't know, somewhere around 3:20. This is a little slow. November 11th, Tuesday, 14.2 degrees centigrade. Got the whole cloudy thing going on here. So, my batteries aren't fully charged. 62, 61, and that clock is springtime. So what are we up to? Well, I don't know. Progress? No progress? Squeezed it in. You know it's tight when you got to turn the front tire like that, so the door will close. This Cushman, because it's got, kind of a fat ass, kind of a wide rear end there. It's not like the most efficient thing in the world. I guess I could put it in the other way with the butt end on this side, and it'd actually make it easier to get around, and I'd probably be able to walk through there. This thing rolls fairly easy, so if for any reason it doesn't start, though it seems to be charging its battery. I put that one wire GM alternator in it, so it seems to be doing pretty good. I keep telling you guys about my desire for a utility vehicle, and the response could be, "You moron, you already have this one," or the golf cart on the other side of the garage. What I'd really like is something where the top of this bed was actually completely flat and metal and sturdy, so that you can work on it well, that it could be a nice flat topped unit for such things. I mean, this thing has its pluses. I mean, it pulls like a mule, maneuvers unbelievable. You can be in a very tight spot, maneuvers no problem around that. I mean, I can do donuts with it. It literally turns almost at a right angle. As you can see, by the way, I nailed my son's car, unfortunately. Oh, and there's still, some space in here, right? You can see the weight of the garage floor. So I consider that somewhat of a success, getting it in out of the rain, getting the stuff out from under the bed, and moving things forward. These Honda snow blowers, there should be one dispatched definitely down to the lower driveway, where for the light snows it's ready to go, and then there should be one should probably get dispatched to my son's house. So out here, not a lot of change. I lined up some tires. This is the halfway point, right? And you could see I can basically get, it looks like 2, 4, 6, probably get another perhaps 6, and then 2 in the center. So there'll be 6 and 6 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So I can probably get 12 to 14 tires on each side. Makes a big difference. Gets a lot of the tires out of the way, right? These 4 tires were rotting on a cart, right? The N4. And those 2 sets are from these bikes here, right? That guy and that guy. So, I mean, there's some stuff I have sitting here, the 2x4s and, some construction stuff. That stuff's got to move on. So there's that. I took a look at this. This is the roofing that came from the woods. I think I could get 20 good foot out of these, which means that gives me 3 sets of 10. I've been thinking about the dimension of how big to make this, and there's always, oh, make it as big as possible. Well, the bigger you make it, the bigger the holes on the sides are, so the more rain blows in anyway, so that doesn't necessarily help. The other thing is, if this shed is here and I put a little 8x12 extension on the back, what's the building inspector going to say? 10x12, more chance of him saying something. 12x12, it's getting to be the shed is being held up by the lean-to instead of the lean-to holding the shed up. So 8x12 is a little small. I think that's 8x14, if I recall, the lean-to that's hooked to the box trailer. I didn't do anything amazing over here. I just moved that one engine that was riding around on the back of the Cushman. I just put it here. Right, I moved that little Honda 70 engine over there. I obviously there was a 200S sitting here. I brought that over under the lean-to. So, little progress there. Obviously, you guys can see as time passed, there's a hole here. I moved the bike out of there. There's a hole over there. I moved that bike out. There's no longer a bike by the door. Obviously, it moved. A couple of the garage bikes moved. So that's been helpful. Back to the discussion about the utility vehicle. You can see this thing has a sideways electric motor in it, right? I've seen a lot of people convert golf carts from electric to gas powered, and it seems like the most common thing to do is hollow out the motor, just put a kind of a hole in the side, get the armature and all that crap out, clamp a gear onto the motor shaft and run the chain through the hole you blow in the side of the motor there to a centrifugal clutch. Right, you got the motor sitting right there. On the centrifugal clutch, you basically fix the rear end so it's not bouncing or moving. Then when you want to start it, you pop the seat up, pull the string and start it. A possibility, then you have something to ride on, but I don't have a utility vehicle. I just have a toy to ride around on, right? Not all that hard to do, a couple of days, right? I've been thinking more like perhaps moving the rear end backwards, putting the engine here, and as a matter of fact, perhaps changing the electric rear end out of this thing and putting a real forward reverse rear end in it. Put the engine out back here, and whichever way, flip the rear end over if I have to change the directionality. But once again, get it in the back here, and then build my shelf workbench over it. Can even have it so it flips down with legs. Now I have my utility vehicle. I got my motor right there where I can see it. I have perhaps a Honda 200S motor on this thing. A Honda 200S motor with the 5-speed would be amazing. If I move this rear end, which has forward and reverse onto it, right? This guy's got forward and reverse. So I would not have back suspension, but I can theoretically go with a little bigger set of tires. Perhaps jack it up a little bit so the tires would more or less be the back suspension. 200S motor gets me up to, I don't know, 13 horsepower. 5-speed gives me plenty of oompah to play with. It's the shifter's all in line, so it's a matter of moving a lever forward and backwards, back a couple of times to work my way to neutral, forward to drive it through the 5 gears, right? Then this part is all here, steering's nice, got all that working, got the seat, got nothing beneath the seat that I have to deal with, so I can theoretically box it up, turn it into a tool chest underneath the seat, just thinking out loud. Once again, with the engine and everything moved back, it's all opened, exposed. I can work on it, see it, smell it, make sure mice aren't into it, with a shelf unit on the back of it here, right? And even, clamp a vise to it, have a table to work on, actually kind of create a little bit of a nicer situation. I do have a roof floating around for one of these things, so theoretically, if I don't make it too long, I could put the roof over it, or I can theoretically put together a cab, which could also be interesting, right? 2 people could ride around on it, though. It really never has to be. So I'm just waxing philosophic, some loose plans. But I think that would be interesting. Musty One built a utility vehicle. It's a 4x4. He and his wife use it for gardening. He put a dump back on it. Right. I think it's a Suzuki underneath. That works. He extended it and all that. His will be able to go a lot more places than this goes, obviously. But if one creates a work vehicle, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing either. I have 2 of these, obviously. Basically, this one, the shaft is not transverse, right? Transverse is like that. I'm not sure what you call that directionality. Normal. So if I wanted to use this rear end, I'd flip it over, right, and then chain drive it, put the jug this way or the jug that way, depending on whichever. But once again, I don't have reverse. So I actually, once again, have a pair of these, so I can experiment a little bit. This one, I don't know, is it the first number that tells you the year? Or the second? I don't know if this is a 79 or a 72. I don't know if that means 88. Right, the last 2 numbers are 88. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what any of that means. So I have this one, and I think, given how much aluminum is on that guy, I think that's a club car. That's another electric. So there's the 3 electrics. Everything else I own is gas powered. This is gas powered, no engine at all. That's a club car, gas powered, that has an ignition problem. That's a Yamaha that the frame is rotted out. And by the way, when I say rotted out, I'm like, one side of the frame is missing. Like where you put the battery in, picture the battery dropping to the ground, right? But not only are the brackets that hold the battery missing, but the frame's missing. Actually, I misspoke. That's this one. This one has no engine. So, there we are. I'm up to 14 minutes. I got another minute or 2. This is a long week for me, so 2 12-hour nights. I'm supposed to do an additional 4-hour stint, but I won't. I'll throw a vacation day on. I have the feeling one of my guys is going to be out on Wednesday night. Typically, Wednesday nights are my worst nights. And especially Wednesday nights on my long week, excuse my language, but typically they suck. It's just I come into a mess. It's just typically it's a mess. So we'll see. Could be just a tad exhausting is all. Oh, what else was I going to show you? Oh, and lastly is this thing. This thing, I've managed to start it up. It starts on starting fluids. It's got a Kawasaki 400 in it. But like it's in just horrible shape. I got a radiator to put in it. I actually got the front suspension. Remember, this was crashed and the front suspension was broken, though there's still some stuff bent underneath it. From a working on height point of view, not bad. It is a dump. It's kind of why this rear end's near it. I've considered hacking the rear end underneath it, and once again, a Honda motor, perhaps a fan. Put one of those Honda E motors underneath there with a little fan to make sure it stays nice and cool. I don't know. I just, this stuff is always hard. Because even once I get it running, where am I going to keep it? What am I going to do with it? Right? Just running is nice, but the thing also has to be in some location where it's practical to make use of it. So my what's roaming around in my head, perhaps a build project, that's what I can use. The way I can do it is I can set it up that whatever the build project is going to be, I can set it up basically on the trailer and then set the trailer up to cover it, bring it in and out of the garage if I need to bring it in and out of the garage if the weather's no good and I can't work outside. So then I could do that. The Cushman being over here. This is in its final resting location. I just wanted to see if I can create enough space to get it in. I'd really like even though it's too dark to see, I'd really like its real location to be able to drive this in and have it sit on top of the lift. So there'd be Cushman and Cushman. And then when I want to use that space, drive it out. But before I could do that, I got to get these two guys out of the way. And this guy, if you remember, I got the engine on here. I got it running. I got everything engaging and disengaging, everything working as it should. But I really need to finish welding this plate up. And to do that, I need to kind of fill this and then arc weld it up right in here, scab it together, as my buddy Musty likes to say. Get it set up and ready to go. Get a little more weld underneath here. That way, when I'm snow blowing, I don't hear a horrible sound as the engine comes loose and then self-destructs, right? 10 horsepower engines are kind of expensive to destroy. Alright folks, I'm going to run. Talk to you in a couple of days. Though normally when I'm not doing videos, I'm a little better about getting to the comments. Thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. We'll catch up with you on the next episode of The Horde. Till then, keep your tires down, keep your head up, and try not to crash into your son's car. Bye now.